Kia ora and welcome. My name is Ellen Rose and this is the Creative Cure to Boredom. I've created this channel to share and explore some creative approaches to art using everyday materials you can find in your own home. The hope is that it'll make the current isolation and lockdown situation just a little bit more bearable. I hope you enjoy this video, and I've got my little helper here again helping me out, Bryce. So if you see some little hands in the video, that is him. Hope you enjoy. So the first slime we're making is a fluffy slime, and we're using 2/3 a cup of glue and half a teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 cup of water, and we're going to stir that all together first.
I wanted to use the glitter glue.
And then we're going to add 2 to 3 cups of shaving cream. So we did add 3 cups of shaving cream in this mix, as well as a little bit of food colouring.
It was a bit messy, so I didn't really want to stir.
And what colours did we choose?
We chose red and blue for this one, which turned out to be pink.
We were aiming for purple, weren't we?
Yes.
But we only had a little bit of food dye left.
Yeah, so we didn't use enough red, we didn't use enough blue. So it turned pink.
Now the contact lens solution, I'm adding 1.5 tablespoons of contact lens solution, and what that's going to do is that's going to stop the slime from being super sticky on our hands, and so you add about a tablespoon and stir it up and add a bit more and add more as you need it. And I did find that it was just a little bit too sticky still, despite the fact that I was kneading it and working it, so I added a little bit more to my hands. How did it feel when it was in your hands?
Oh, so sticky.
When you're working with slime, the more you work it in your hands, the thicker it will become. And you can see it's starting no longer to stick to the palms of my hands when I'm working with it. And you can keep adding lens solution if you need. I added a little bit of green food colouring to just get a slightly different colour. So you could split this batch into lots of different sections and make a few different colours if you wanted to.
We're starting our second one.
Now our second slime is a more traditional slime. It should be nice and gooey and runny. So we have mixed 1/2 cup of glue with 1/2 cup of water, and we're adding some food colouring. We've decided to go with some green. And then we're adding in 1/4 cup of laundry detergent. And at this stage, theoretically, we should be able to knead it together and it should come together in a slime, but it's just way too runny. So I've added some more glue and I've added some more detergent to try to get it to thicken, but it still wasn't working. So we decided to add some contact lens solution, even though we're not supposed to with this recipe. So one thing to note is that laundry detergent doesn't always have the same chemicals in it. So in Australia and New Zealand, there's not a list of the chemicals in laundry detergents on the back of them, so it's hard to know if it has the right stuff in it. I will say this brand did not, but a brand that I have used before that has worked really well is Cold Power. So same thing, we're just sort of kneading it in our hands to get it to thicken up, and after a while it was starting to thicken up quite nicely, although it got a little bit clumpy because of the lens solution.
I prefer the green one because it was all squishy.
So now we're going to put a little bit of slime over a cup and a bowl. Basically what we want to do is we want to stretch it out and we want it to dry quite thin. And then we're going to try to make a sculpture with it. And once we're done with our slime, we always put our slime away in a jar so we don't get it everywhere.
I hope you enjoyed watching us.
So this is our end product. We've ended up with two different types of slime. We've got a much more foamy kind of slime with the pinky purple, and we've got a much more liquid kind of slime with the green, and that has settled a bit overnight and has gone a little bit less lumpy. Now our drying slime, so we had the pinky purple colour over a tall glass and we had the green colour over a little bowl. They've dried quite nicely and you can see that it's paper thin and it's this really nice sort of thin foaming material, and we decided that felt a lot like petals, so we turned them into two little flowers. So you can do whatever you like with this slime, and I'd be really interested to see what sort of shapes and sculptures you can make with it. I would suggest if you let it dry for a lot longer, so if you let it dry for a week, it'll go a lot more stiff and it might be slightly easier to work with, or slightly easier to hold its shape at least. But this has been a really fun activity. Obviously, the process of making and playing with slime and then looking at it in a totally different way when it dries. Love to hear what you've done with the slime in your making process, so please do leave comments and suggestions down the bottom. We hope you've enjoyed this video. I have been Ellen Rose and this has been the Creative Cure to Boredom, and my little nephew, who is my little helper, has been Bryce. We hope you've enjoyed this. Till next time, ngā mihi nui.